What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to the Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. We are rocking and rolling here. We are ready to go here. We are feeling good. Big win over Clemson, baby. Huge win for this program. We are excited to discuss all things about it with you all here today on the show. As always, you got myself, Lane Smith, here with Lindsey Ware, Greg DeLeg, and Ken's Blackwater as well. And we should be joined by Macon here soon as well. But again, gotta start first and foremost is our man Michael got married on Saturday, so huge shout out to our man getting it done, putting a ring on it. Happy for him, and happy for him and his beautiful bride. But as always, y'all, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. But if you haven't been with us before, all you have to do is any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, whatever you got, make sure to put them there in the chat, and we will get to them or at least highlight them at least here today. So make sure to do that. But Greg, man, huge win, 24-17. And I'll be honest with you, leaving that game, going into that game, if you had told me, all right, State is going to beat Clemson, then the amount of emotions would be like just thrilled and just like fantastic, feeling amazing. And I'll be honest with you that after winning that game, I was really happy, but I was just like, it was not a pretty win over Clemson. And there's no way, if you would asked me that, over the last 5-10 years, I would have said a win over Clemson is nothing but phenomenal. But I really left that going, man, that was a great win, but it just wasn't quite as beautiful as maybe that 2021, which maybe is a good thing, but also just performance-wise wasn't necessarily all around fantastic,
I think it says something more about NC State when you can win ugly against Clemson, right? Like 5 years ago, that's a loss. I mean, let's just be real. That's a loss. I don't care. Like I've said it before, like stats are cute and they're for, losers and people like us to talk about. But at the end of the day, give me a grimy, just grind it out. Just give me 3-4 big plays and give me enough to win a ball game. And we move on to the next one. And again, I say this every time. At the end of the year, people will only remember that you beat Clemson. Most people will not remember the score of that game. And by the way, let me say, we talked about it last week, the ceiling of this team. I said 24 points. Give me 24 points, and I like this team's chances. And guess what? We got 24. So I'm going to stick with that number. Give me 24 every game, and we're going to probably win another 3 to 4 ball games.
I looked at it as a bounce back game, like the way that we came out of that bye week when the week before we only scored 3 points against Duke. Like I looked at it more of that was a win more than the score, because I'm like, the discipline that they came out with was so much more than Duke. The grit that they had, the toughness. I mean, our defense came out, did their thing. Offense struggled some, but I mean, 2 penalties when we had our offensive line could not stand still against Duke. I mean, that's extremely impressive for what they did during the bye week. So I take that as a win over anything else.
Yeah, those 2 penalties went until the third quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Last week we talked about, what does this bye week mean halfway through the season? Is this going to set us up to be ready to kind of start over and have a better second half? And I think, this was that rebuilding week. We're coming off the bye week. And last week we said State at their best could beat Clemson. State should not be a 10-point, 10.5 point, whatever it was, underdog. And when we look at that they were this 10-point underdog coming into that game and won it, I think that's all that matters. Greg's right. Nobody's going to remember exactly how the game went down when the season's said and done, but they're going to remember that State came off of a game where they could only put up 3 points against Duke. And then the next week that the 2 teams both played, Duke put up no points and State beat Clemson.
I think the other part of that too, we talked about the 10.5 point spread, and we all kind of agreed that it was more an indictment on the offense not being able to put up points, right? And so it was, we took advantage of turnovers, obviously, with the pick 6, and I know we'll talk about that and go ahead and put Peyton Wilson's name on the Defensive Player of the Year trophy now. But we did just enough, and we didn't beat ourselves. At the end of the day, if you're +2 in the turnover margin, you're going to win probably 75% of your games.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Well, again, keep in mind too is that I mean, at the end of the day, you could be Clemson and be 4-4. Like I truly do believe that was a must win for both teams, and that's another reason why I kind of give my hats off to NC State, because I'm saying, I mean, Clemson was going to give it their all just as much because they wanted just as bad as State did to not have to go 4-4 and be facing, kind of the questions that we would be facing if we had lost that game. So,
and the funny thing is, I think we're going in opposite directions at this point too. Like if you look, like I think we're trending more up and Clemson's trending more down for the rest of their season because they got Notre Dame, they got Georgia Tech, which let's be honest, that is the most Jekyll and Hyde team of all the ACC. So who knows how that game's going to work out? And then you got Carolina. Carolina can score, but they can't stop anyone. But Clemson can't score. And then you got South Carolina, which is a rivalry game. So I don't know about Clemson, but I feel better about us.
Oh yeah, and I feel like after the game, we are definitely on that high or momentum train because we're the only team in North Carolina that won. First of all, and then second of all, I mean, we have I'm not going to say we have an easy schedule, but we have a schedule that we could definitely pull out wins with every game that we have left. So, I mean, I feel like the momentum is definitely on our side going forward. And hopefully if we can just get over that Miami hump, because usually when we have a big game like we did on Saturday, we don't really do well the next week. So I'm just hoping that we come out again on Saturday, ball out, get that win, and then head on to Wake Forest because that's where we're going to need it.
I'm hoping that nighttime environment kind of brings the team up, right? Because it always just feels different at nighttime in the Carter Finley.
Well, and speaking of, there's one stat that is always getting passed around about the Clemson effect, and I know that the guy that just joined us here now, I definitely want to hear his thoughts on Clemson. Loves to bring that stat up a lot, man. So remind us about it, man. That Clemson effect, bro.
I feel like I can't remember. Like it was something on the effect of like the teams have a very large likelihood of losing to Clemson after they play Clemson. I can't remember the exact stack actually off the top of my head, but it's something along the lines of like State loses or teams lose a lot. I think it's only it's only a handful of times that's happened in the last 10 years. So States, I think lately actually found ways to be able to actually overcome that. But, playing against Clemson, who obviously is not your typical Clemson, and then having to go now to not go now, but you're going to play Miami, who I think is a better team right now. The record shows that. It's going to be tough for State. It wasn't like a game where Clemson had come out of an overtime or was it double overtime against Miami. Double overtime. Yeah. So, but State's going to have to, come out of that game and just build on that and build against Miami. I just think my concern with Miami is Clemson is a similar team to NC State this year. You're pretty good on defense, struggling on offense, similar issues. The thing that I'm not sure about is I don't know where Miami is at defensively, but I know their offense is better than Clemson's and definitely better than ours. So they've got a lot of really young pieces there, but that Clemson effect has been for real. I don't know how much that is an effect after this year because they're not as good, but I'd be curious to know how teams have fared after playing Clemson this year. I'll look into that while we're talking, but it's not been good historically coming after playing Clemson. So to your point, Leighton.
Yeah. No, again, it's it's opportunity, and hey, again, it's a home game, 8 p.m. First game truly under the lights, even from beginning to end, which is going to be phenomenal. And because that's another thing I said too, is that a win against Clemson would set up beautifully for Miami because now like it's going to be packed. It's going to be hype. It's going to be like I guarantee you Miami has definitely not this season going to experience anything like they will on Saturday in Carter Finley.
Who has Miami played? We even know the answer to that question besides Clemson at home.
I mean, yeah, they played Georgia Tech. They lost at home. Yeah.
They played UNC on the road.
Yes,
yeah, they lost UNC at UNC right after losing to Georgia Tech. So those are 2 losses.
And they've played South Carolina.
No, South Carolina State or something like that.
It
wasn't. Yeah.
But that's another thing. Shout out to the fans on Saturday. That was a crazy environment for a 4-3 team who's been through a lot on social media the past few weeks. But that was a great show out from the students and everything.
Yep. Sorry, I was thinking of UNC playing South Carolina, not Miami.
Miami
go ahead.
has played Texas A&M, Bethune-Cookman,
Yep.
Temple,
Okay.
Georgia Tech, they lost at home. No, sorry. Yeah, they lost at home to Georgia Tech. They lost at Carolina. They beat Clemson in double OT, beat Virginia, and now they play us. So they are 6-2 with losses to Georgia Tech and at Carolina.
So not really hard teams.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're probably their toughest opponent has been Carolina, and take that for what you want. And that's not. I mean, I'm not trying to slight. I mean, you know,
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Well, okay,
You
fine.
definitely should.
Fine.
They're gonna lose to Campbell on Saturday. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, we are all camels this weekend.
That's all camels. We're like, what day is it? Saturday is going to be hump day.
Yeah.
But I mean, Miami's defense, you know, they're giving up 20 points, which is towards the better part of the ACC. But again, we just kind of talked about their, you know, their schedule, who they played. So again, take it for what you will. They're giving up about 300 and some yards on defense. So I don't know. They've got a really good defensive line, though, and that's going to be a struggle for us. They've got one of the better edge rushers in all of the ACC, and he's a true freshman. He's got I think 6 or 7 sacks. So that's that might be some problems, but you know, let's go out and play the ball game. You know, we were 10.5 point underdogs, so that doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, someone in the chat said Miami has FSU next week, so the week after this game, which is huge for them. And it's going to get a little cold Saturday night. It bodes well for us. Yeah, this is also going to be our first really cold game. It's getting cold this week. I think it's going to be 60 degrees at game time Saturday night. They're not used to that down in Florida. Not that we really are either. But FSU is going to be a tough one for Miami. They also have Louisville right after that, and then Boston College. So Florida State, Louisville should be kind of a tough back-to-back for them, I think.
Yeah, so going back to that stat, the teams that have played Clemson, I think they are 3-4 after playing Clemson this year. So you've got Miami. The teams that have won games after Clemson are Miami, Florida State is undefeated, and I think it was Duke. So Duke, because they played Lafayette. So, the other teams, though, they lost. I don't know if that's a small sample size. Let's just answer that question. I think it's going to be – go ahead.
Real quick, Miami is second in the ACC in sacks behind Virginia Tech. They have 27, and right behind them is us at 24. So, you know, just kind of get after that. And then their offensive line has only given up 8 sacks all year, which is second best in the ACC. And we've given up 16. So
interesting.
Just some stats there for the offensive and defensive line play. That's going to be, you know, you always say the game's won or lost in the trenches, and I feel like that's going to be no different this week.
I'm way more confident going in with how our offensive line played on Saturday, though. If we were going into Miami after that Duke game, I'd be extremely stressed out. But now, I mean, they've handled they were able, knock on wood, to not have false starts. So now all we got to do is block. That's the only other issue that we're struggling with right now.
Yeah, the rushing game.
Yeah. So.
Well, and
again,
again too, you know, I know Kenza, he's your boy, but MJ didn't have his best game. You know, definitely didn't handle the blitz very well. Overthrew a couple of passes for sure.
Had a couple drop too.
Yeah, I'm about to say there were more drops.
Oh, for sure. But
we had a Keon sighting.
I know. Keon was saying sighting.
Timeout. I mean,
that was a big catch he had.
That was a really big catch.
Yes, it was.
For sure.
So huge shout out. But yeah, no, again, definitely. I think this is just a big momentum booster heading into these last 4 games. But all right, y'all, we got to switch it up here, as there's a lot of people in the chat that are talking about a certain post-game press conference.
Wait, something overshadowed the game?
I know. Like, I mean, the game was just like secondary. Like it was this comment and then the game. And so obviously
I love Salty Dave.
Got to give a shout out here. As
the best part is I didn't even know this happened until my phone was blowing up after the game. And I was like, what happened?
Yeah,
like I didn't even know about it.
Yes. So obviously slight viewer discretion advised, whatever you want to call it. Not going to bleep it out here. Just going to keep it real here, y'all. So let's get to it. Oh no audio.
I've watched
Ooh.
it enough. I can quote
Yeah,
it.
we can.
All right, hold on. Let me get that fixed. real quick.
I was
But
gonna say, I
but
could just mouth
anyway,
Well,
y'all.
can I touch on that while you're fixing it, Layton? I got
Go
something out of
for
here.
it.
So we talk about the Miami matchup real quick. They have had a lot of players recognized for them lately. They had 2 players for AC Players of the Week. They had a DB, Kitchens, and then they had I think he's their kicker or maybe he's a returner, Borregales. They also had a couple of freshmen. Like I know we were all talking about what KC did this weekend and what he's been doing this season. They had they have 2 freshmen on their team who also got national recognition this week. I'm trying to figure out. It was George was one player's last name, and
I think
I'm
it's Blaine or Blaine.
Yeah, something like that. They've got some talent and they've got some young talent. Yeah, it is.
Bain
No,
Jr.
it's a tackle, Francis Mauigoa, Mauigoa, and then Ruben Bain.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Ruben Bain, I guess he looks like an edge rusher.
Yeah, 6.5
they're-
sacks for the year.
Yeah, neither of those guys were mentioned for players of the week in the ACC. Those are just freshmen of the week. So Miami's got some pieces there, but then you look at stuff like they almost lose to UVA. They barely beat Clemson. How did they fare? I know you mentioned Texas A&M. Lindsay, did they beat Texas A&M?
Yeah, I'm
They
pretty sure
did beat them. Let's see what that final score was.
They beat him by like 20 points.
Let's see, 48-33.
Okay,
Yeah.
so not quite 20.
15.
But yeah, a good amount. They did lose by double digits at Carolina before Carolina crumbled and fell apart.
like
But still notable.
Yeah. They are third in the ACC in at points average per game. So they're at 35.4 points per game they're averaging. NC State, for reference, is the 4th to last. They are 25.3. So basically, Miami's averaging 10 more points in State, which is interesting because State is only a 4-point underdog in this matchup coming up, which tells me that either Vegas doesn't believe that Miami's played really good defenses, or they think State's a better defense than who they've matched up with. I think that's what it's got to be because State, there's no belief right now, for the most part, in the offense. I wonder if they're thinking that State's a better defense than what Miami has seen to this point.
And I also think that offensive number is pretty skewed by the fact that Miami had a pretty easy early schedule. They played Miami, Ohio, put up 38, put up 48, Texas A&M, Bethune-Cookman, 48, 41, Temple. But since then, they put up 31 at Carolina, 28 at Clemson, 28 at Virginia. So really that number is coming from earlier this season when they were playing out of conference and kind of less big name opponents.
Yeah, they are. Go ahead, Greg.
No, this is the one thing I was going to say. Tyler Van Dyke did come back from injury last week to play against Virginia. Remember, they had their backup in there against Miami. Van Dyke was kind of, not dare I say, MJ Moore-ish, 20 of 30 for 163 yards, but the difference was two interceptions, which I'm sure is what kept UVA in the ball game. Yeah,
I'm just looking all around. They are pretty solid all around, guys. They're first in, I'm looking here, the categories I see them first in the ACC. They're first in rushing defense. So that's
well, that's not our strength anyway, so good.
I was just about to say
none of it is. So there. Yeah, that's interesting. They are fourth in yards allowed, fourth in rushing yards in the ACC. They are third in passing yards. They are that might be where State, if they can find a way to expose them, is in passing defense. They're kind of bottom half of the ACC in passing defense. So just keep that in mind. They don't seem to – well, they're not – their average of punts is down. Kicking, they're first in field goal percentage.
The guy's really good. He's only missed one.
Yeah, and that might be that specialist I was talking about earlier, Borregales, I think is what his name was.
Yeah.
So we've got some things there, but it looks like just from this, you mentioned they're second in sacks, but they're also second in sacks against. So their offensive line may not be so great.
I'll stop you, Macon.
Yeah. Just getting the ball.
I mean,
get
that's
Casey the
true,
ball.
but then the defensive coaches for other teams only have to. All you gotta do is work on one person. If we're constantly giving the ball to KC, they're only trying to get defense for one.
The one thing I will say is you could tell that coming out of the bye, like State did throw some wrinkles in there, get some new sets, some new play calls, play designs. We talked about Brendan Armstrong coming in, and he was going to be a factor, and they're trying to make him a part of the game plan. But Leighton, you got that video ready?
Yeah, well, so unfortunately, something's going on that is not getting audio. So basically, again, it's all over Twitter, folks.
Yeah,
Just
I think
go
we
watch
know.
it.
I think we
Yeah.
know what
I think
happened.
everybody knows what it is, and I would love just to enjoy it, but unfortunately, we have technical difficulties, so
Play it on my
apologies there.
phone.
But yeah, but again, everybody's seeing it. But so the one thing which I want to talk about with that is everybody's saying, well, Dorn misquoted Steve Smith. Steve Smith didn't say that we are a basketball school. He just said that we are ready for basketball. But I'm sitting here saying, well, but at the end of the day, he's basically saying that our focus right now is on basketball.
We're
not
checked
football.
out for the
Still-
season.
We're checked out.
Disrespecting our
Exactly.
football program.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, that's what he did. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt about it.
I mean, you could definitely tell. It was slightly the messages kind of got crossed in wires, but yes, we're not a basketball school in the traditional sense, but we're also not ready for basketball season. We show up to our games, and I think that was basically what Dorn was saying during. He felt disrespected that look, even if the season isn't quite going the way we truly and wanted and expected it to go, my fans are still going to show up for my team, and I think that was the message that he was trying to put out there.
Well, and then at the end of the day, too, it's just kind of ironic that with how things turned out this weekend, that's actually a different North Carolina school that is fully focused on basketball now. And I've heard that from multiple different UNC fans that, basketball season started. So
a little
just
later
kind of
than
ironic.
usual. A little later than
Right.
usual.
Usually about 3 weeks ago.
yeah, exactly,
Time.
exactly. Yeah.
And real quick, I guess I kind of wanted to put a bow on my thoughts on what Coach was saying. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you don't just get the words out quite how you wanted them. And you could definitely tell today during his press conference that he was more, it had been more of a flushed out thought where, Saturday, after the game and then during his press conference, he was speaking from the heart and just throwing it out there. And it just maybe didn't come across the way he maybe had wanted it at the time. That's not to take away that what he felt. It just didn't, his words didn't quite come out the way. And you could tell today when he was talking, he's like, hey, he gave Coach Keats a call, said, hey, no disrespect, and I have zero problems with what he said or how he said it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about social media. It's the fact that reporters are putting out just what was said on TV. Like that's the only thing that's being posted about it. And people are saying that he's disrespecting our basketball coaches. And it's like he, in the press conference, made it perfectly clear what he meant by that. I mean, no coach is going to let you disrespect their program. Simple as that. And the way that he stood up for our entire athletic department, I mean, if you're a fan, you have to back that up. And I don't think that he even needed to call Kevin Keats or anything. I feel like they understood completely. I feel like it was just social media turned it into a negative thing when it was nothing close to that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I don't think this was meant to be a diss to basketball, a diss to Keats, anything like that. He was just saying, we're not done. Like, it's not over. This is still football season. Our team is still showing up for us, even if this isn't how they wanted it to go. And when it's time for basketball, it'll be time for basketball. But right now, it's still football season, and our fans know that.
And if anybody should be pissed off, it should be the fans. Because, I mean, I'm still showing up for football games. Right. I'm not going just ready for basketball right now. That's what pissed me off.
Yeah, true diehard NC State fans will show up for both. Yeah. They won't just pick one sport or the other, right? And I think Coach definitely conveyed that in his press conference again. And I'll keep reiterating that. He says, look, he goes to sporting events and it's sold out for baseball, it's sold out for basketball, women's basketball. Volleyball gets a lot of people. Wrestling sells out. Like Wolfpack Nation shows up to their sports regardless of who it is and what type of the season and that it's going on. We ride or die with our squads. We don't pick and choose what we want to be fans of. We show up and show out.
And the one thing which I want to clarify on too is that I think he said we are not just a basketball school. Didn't he say just?
Yeah, he said
I think
just.
so.
So that's what I would say right there. He said we're not just a
Yeah.
basketball school. He didn't say we're not a basketball school. He said we are not just a basketball school.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, even better. So Carson even bring it up about how even for soccer games this year, they actually broke attendance records this year for men's and women's soccer games. So
Great
I mean,
point.
Again, it's there's no doubt, and thank you, Carson, for bringing that up. But again, it's with NC State fans, we are multi-sported, and I think us at Tuffy Talk, we're trying to get people even more focused on all sports. I mean, because one thing which you haven't even brought up is I actually spoke with Lindsay Leftwich, our new softball coach, on Saturday, and she actually said that in one of their scrimmages, they actually beat Tennessee 6-1. They actually beat Tennessee, which I mean, Tennessee's a big softball program. So I mean, and then when I was like, wait, did they play their backup? She was like, no, it was starters versus starters. So, I mean, now again, we're not saying that we're about to go and shock the world here, but I mean, we're going to be competitive. So, I mean,
and these girls have been waiting for that too. They've been waiting to be competitive. So I'm excited for them.
Yeah, I was at a scrimmage this past weekend for softball. And very nice. There were 3 different innings where we went 3 up, 3 down. There was a 3-run home run. There was a single home run. So they were looking like they're getting ready for the season. There were definitely people there. There were students there hanging out, even though it was just a preseason fall ball kind of scrimmage. So people definitely do show out to different events, which as State fans, we love to see.
I was at the Wrestle-Offs on Friday night, and there was probably 500 people there. And for Wrestle-Offs, I mean, for a squad that's mostly already intact, like as far as who's going to be wrestling at what weight classes, was only really 2 or 3 that were kind of quote unquote up for grabs. Like people show up, like, it doesn't matter what it is.
I just don't remember Leighton, like, and maybe Greg remember like having where wrestling what came from, like they would just pull that curtain on one side of Reynolds and they would do the wrestling match right there. And it was like 20 people, 30 people. That's just amazing to me how like now we have like an exhibition game and it's 500 people there watching a wrestling match.
That doesn't even count. You're wrestling against your own people. Yeah.
Well, and Carson brings up a great point is that like UNC, year after year is towards the top of the Directors Cup standings because they have national champions and field hockey and soccer and you name it. But yet all UNC talks about is men's basketball, and then football when they're good. It bugs me. But again, that's on them and it is what it is.
Real quick, we can put a bow on this. Props for Steve Smith Jr., and Dave working it out, talking it through. Steve Smith messaging, Coach Doran after everything just to kind of clear the air. That just said, I see you rolling your eyes, Leighton. I see you rolling. No. Oh, okay. Okay. So I think that it's, it makes for good entertainment, right? And, for us, like on podcast and, sports media to talk about it. But at the end of the day, I think that, they've squashed it and it was fun.
I wonder if Steve Smith liked it. You get what I'm saying? Because Steve Smith's that kind of guy. And he had somebody chirp right back at him. I bet he was like, okay.
Being a diehard Panthers fan, I mean, Panthers fans know how Steve Smith is. We've heard him for years. So it's
last weekend he was ripping Jerry Jeudy apart, right?
Yeah,
so
he doesn't have a filter, which is something we like about him, but it's also like if he gets called out, he's one of the first people that are gonna try to squash it before it goes too far.
But he owns his stuff. I mean, like he'll talk it and he'll back it and then he'll own it. And he won't retreat, he won't turtle. He'll be like, that's who I am. Like take it or leave it. And people can do whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah. And another thing which didn't kind of add on to it either, but again, I just absolutely love Doran with this fact. I mean, this is the thing that, besides not only just beating Clemson, but the fact that I mean, he gets us. Like he is us. Like he speaks for us. Like that's what I'm saying is that when people talk so easily about getting rid of Doran, I'm like, but again, like how are you going to find somebody that first of all is year over year successful as he is, but also somebody that represents us. Like he's a boots fishing, truck, country listening, guitar playing guy. Like he fits the NC State repertoire to a T. Like I don't know. So again, just huge shout out to Doran and again, good for him for speaking his mind when it was necessary.
The last thing is like, it's funny until the last, I don't know. We'll start with COVID, maybe COVID. Like the last 3 or 4 years, he's been the saltiest he's ever been. Like,
I love Salty Dave.
like,
I really do.
I don't know if he's getting up there. I mean, he's still a young guy. I think he's like 52 or 53.
He's getting
years
the
old.
age where he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. He's
Doesn't
only
care.
52 or 53, but he's about
He
get off
cares.
my lawn, and I like it, and I respect the hell out of it. I love someone that's gonna go fight for me and have my back. And it sounded like all the players were very positive and very receptive to what he did and what he said for them.
And it wasn't even,
%.
it wasn't even the players. Like people on Twitter were saying, like, not only did he back up the program and the athletic department, he backed up us.
Mhm.
Like, because I mean, that was kind of more of a jab to state fans saying, hey, they're talking crap. They think football sucks. They're focused on basketball. And it's like, no, my fans are here. We sell out. They're not going to go anywhere until the season's over.
Yeah, and I was trying to find the stats about it, and I ran out of time today. But if you look historically at NC State and attendance for football, even in our lean years, some of those Tom O'Brien years, and even some of the later Chuck Amato years, NC State percentage-wise by stadium, because obviously stadium sizes are different, we are always typically at the 98th or higher percentile for attendance, right? Like last year, we were 4th in attendance, raw numbers alone in the ACC, and that's with a stadium that's smaller than like 5 stadiums or 6 stadiums on the conference. So the fact that we continuously show up, no matter what time of year, no matter what the weather, like what the schedule, what the record is of either us or our opponent, Wolfpack Nation shows up, and I think that's what you want to hear, and the coach embraces that from his fan base.
Greg is going for that soundbite, man. Greg's going for that soundbite.
It's a good one. I like it. Good,
I got you, Greg. You'll see that on Instagram tomorrow.
Yeah, let's go. All right. So one last thing about this game in terms of before we get to some.
Wait, there was a game. I forgot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Right? We won.
Before we get to Tuffy's mailbag, there was one big play that was discussed more on the Clemson side, I would say, than really the state side, but it definitely was some that really bugged me, and that was the play when Will Shipley got knocked out of the game, and Clemson fans saying it was a dirty hit, it was an unnecessary hit, blah blah blah.
Jeez.
And because the first thing I thought of after the game when we won was, I was like, oh man, a bunch of Clemson fans are going to say exactly what they did back in 2016, which is when we knocked Wayne Gallman out, and they're like, oh, they instead had to knock another starting running back out.
Didn't Will Shipley get hurt in 21 too?
He did. He was out for I don't think he was out for the season.
Yeah.
It was at his ACL that year. I couldn't remember how bad it was.
ACL. Yeah, I think he tore his
I
ACL.
feel almost like for Clemson, it's like when they play state, just know somebody might get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
watch your starting running backs.
Well, good thing for
Our seats
Clemson
were
is we won't be playing them every year, and I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Our seats were right there at it, and it was a clean hit. It was just, God, the sound that was right there. We were all worried. The entire section right beside it. We're glad that his legs were moving. We'll just say
It sounded like sounds like one of the reports were that it's mostly a concussion.
Was it concussion? I thought it was like a lower back injury.
I thought it was his collarbone area because it hit him like right in here.
I talked to one of my friends that plays for Clemson, and they said that he is in a neck brace right now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
whiplash.
There's no doubt. There's no
There's
doubt.
whiplash.
He's okay, but his
Oh, yeah.
neck is pretty, like, they're really concerned about
They
him.
said that Dave Dabo Sweeney came out earlier. It's like, we were concerned about his neck, but the scans were good news, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see Shy Battle
Should.
hits him in the right between the shoulder blades. It's not a dirty hit. Like, but I mean, it's bang bang. Like he's coming down as Shy is already.
And the thing is, though,
his
again,
tackling motion.
Yeah, and you come in like, what do you want the guy to do? You want to keep him. You're trying to keep him scoring a touchdown. It's just unfortunate.
Exactly. It's not a dirty hit. It's just this happens in football.
Yeah.
You get hurt, and I'm glad to see he was okay. Because same with you.
Did we lose her?
Again, he got up and got off the field. But yeah, in football, you're going to get hit, and that happens. I'm glad he's okay, but it wasn't a dirty hit. It happens.
Well, and if you look,
It's like he's falling into Shaheem.
Well,
it's not like Shaheem
he's
is
spinning
just
out of it.
Right.
He's kind of spinning at the
Yeah.
same time as Shy's going into his tackling motion.
Yeah.
Like he's already.
Shaheem was 100% going for lower body, but
Yeah.
he was falling into him.
Yeah.
So
He must have
it's
the
a
best
football play.
reflexes of any player to make that intentional.
right, That's
Right.
what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
But hey,
Yeah, no, exactly my point. I think it was either last year or the year before. I think it was an Auburn game where there was kind of a similar play to this, where they called targeting on a play like this, where it was like a play at a goal line and the defender was trying to make a play to try and stop the guy from getting in, and they called targeting on him. It's like, what do you want Shaheem to do here? Like, and again, and because at the time, like, a second before that, or even a half second before that, Will Shipley was completely upright, but then all of a sudden he goes down. And so if you're Shaheem, you're saying, well, I need to go down to make sure that he doesn't reach back behind him with the ball and try and score a touchdown. Like, because if he does do that, and if I hit him, then he's probably going to fumble it. So no, there's nothing dirty about this whatsoever.
Exactly.
There's no football coach in the world that's going to say this is a dirty hit.
The people saying that it's because Will Shipley went to Clemson and not State, like he gets hurt every time at State. I'm like,
Who
shut up.
actually
Like,
says
honestly,
that kind of
shut
stuff?
up. And it's
Stupid fans.
It's,
like we literally put an X on his back when we look at all the video. Goes, this is the guy you want to take out.
Yeah, it's like y'all really are reaching for no reason.
Here's the thing: I'm going to pull up the stats, but I think his backup actually did better than he did.
Maffa is a beast. That is a big man.
Yeah,
they're like a 1-2 punch, man. They're really good.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
You don't get a direct hit on Maffa.
When was that? Was that the third quarter that happened? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
No, it was before. I think it was before halftime.
Was it before halftime?
No, it was third quarter because Clemson was driving towards the band the first half and the student section the second half.
That's right. The third quarter.
So,
that was
right?
I think that was the second quarter because that was away from me.
Everybody was wondering if he was going to come back out at half.
Oh, they flip each quarter. That's right. It was second. It was second quarter. You're right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Maffa ran for 84 yards, while Shipley only ran for 21. So, granted, it was 16 carries. But before that, like Shipley was getting the majority of the carries. I don't think really Maffa had that many carries in the first half.
Yeah, agreed. All righty, y'all. So let's jump on over some Tuffy's mailbag, y'all, and get some of these questions answered. Here we go. All righty. So is there any way we can get more offensive production, or is this as good as it gets?
Yep, that's it. Next question.
You could always get more. I just don't know if they know how.
Is there any way? Yes, there is a way. Well, come on. There's just it's going to take
creativity.
I think it's going to have to be some play calling, some creative play calling. They saw some changed up lineups and that kind of thing. You can't get away from your bread and butter on Conception, but you got to find more ways, in my opinion, to get him the ball. I think there's some guys that I would try to figure out a way to get the ball more. But I don't know. Like Rosner, did he do anything?
Nope.
He didn't even get one.
Right.
I don't know if he got a target.
He didn't get a target.
And Lassane, he only got 2 targets, something like that.
4 targets, 2 catches.
Yeah.
So I think that there are ways.
Back out there.
I think you got to get more creative with your play calling, your set design, some window dressing. Just kind of create some movement, some smoke and mirrors. You kind of saw it with, KC getting a little bit more running. You saw Jordan Poole in there as a running back, fullback. You saw Armstrong as a running back. So I think you might see some more stuff like that get installed. Again, you saw a lot of this after a bye because you had time to do the installs. I don't know how much you're going to see during midweek, week to week.
Yeah. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I agree. I think this isn't perfect, obviously, but this was an improvement from what we saw when we were talking about offense in our midseason review. But yeah, Greg, I think you're right. I don't think there's the time to really line this up and kind of set up all these different things and think about who should be out there and stuff week to week when the goal is really focusing on individual teams and getting the most possible wins. So I think this isn't as good as it gets forever, but for the rest of the season, I think we kind of stick with Concepcion, do what we can week to week. But I think this is about what we're going to see.
Agreed. Yeah. Yep. So, and with that, and we actually do have one more question, but we still have so much to get to. So, Michael, my guy, not our Michael, but follower, Michael. In game 14 alpha asked another question, but we're gonna have to skip it if that's okay, Michael. But we'll make sure to address that another time, man. So let's jump on over some Tuffy's tweets of the week, y'all, and let's get back rolling to this. All righty. So first and foremost, gotta give a shout out to our head ball coach, Coach Dave Dorn, on tying the program record for the most wins in program history at 77, and he now has 100 career wins as a head football coach in his career. And so again, that even adds even more, storybook possibilities to the Miami game, being that he could break the all-time record on Saturday. So again, just huge shout out to him for sure. I mean, again, it has to be said that there's, definitely some to look at. And the fact that he has been here 11 years, that's not very common. I mean, he's I think the second longest tenured coach in the ACC right now. So
yeah, I think just behind Dabo.
So yeah, again, just excited and seeing what he can build off of, and we'll kind of talk more about next season. But I'm hoping that we can have this guy for another 11 years as long as things go well. Maybe win an ACC championship or two would be nice. I'd love to see that. So, but yeah, huge shout out to Coach Doran there. Anything from y'all there on that?
I mean,
No.
that's my coach. I'll just
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you look at. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say, you look at 77 wins, 11 years. That's almost 7 wins a season. He's definitely. I think we've talked about this before. He's elevated the program. We were pretty lean there for those last couple of TOB years, and I just think he's brought a lot of stability to this program and brought a lot of goodwill both on and off the field with everything that he does, and his wife Sarah, and all the endeavors that they're involved at the school.
Yeah,
agreed. So Andy also brings up too, no offensive penalties was an improvement, just like Ken said. So yeah,
zero
shout out there.
turnovers.
Zero turnovers.
I mean, to Andy's point, that is offensive production, right? That leads to sustained drives and potential points, right? When you get a holding penalty and you're behind the sticks, it makes scoring points a lot more difficult.
I mean, you saw it. Clemson got multiple calls that helped us out. So I mean, the fact that we didn't get any after how many we had at Duke, that's huge improvement.
I'm gonna use a Mark Godfrey quote here, guys. I'm gonna say we got better today, or we got better Saturday. We got better.
We lost to Boston College. We lost to Boston College, but we got better.
Yeah.
I didn't even say that. Oh my God.
But seriously, we did get better. I mean, there was a lot of penalties. There were turnovers.
Yeah.
You didn't have that really this game. That is getting better. So they, and we threw touchdowns.
There were more. There were more catches. Right.
So we can make that progression. I think the thing is going to be we can tell us more later. Just MJ is still young. He still needs to figure it out. I think people were way too overhyped about MJ Morris, and I think he has a talent there. He's just not ready. Raw. Yeah, he's raw. He's still figuring it out. He's a young kid, still figuring it out for the most part. So.
I mean, what is he at his his 6th or 8th start, 7th, 8th start? I've lost track, but it's not even still a full season, right?
I think it's 7th.
I think it's 7. That was kind of where in my head was. But just for reference, the last 2 ACC games, we scored a grand total of 13 points. And in those 2 games, we had 22 penalties. So in this game, we scored 24 and had 2 penalties. So,
but Dave, to kind of bring it back full circle, Dave is able to kind of work all these kind of guys together. And to Leighton's point earlier, he kind of embodies NC State and the kind of program we all want to have and we all naturally think about NC State with. So I'm really glad he's our coach. I would love, to your point, Greg, when he said he's averaging about 7 wins. I like to see that number even higher. I like to see 8 wins.
For
8
sure.
Wins. I want to see 12 wins, man. I want to see that one to be. But I get what I'm saying. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement there. So.
Well, and to kind of build off of it, so I want to kind of point out, so this was actually our worst pass blocking, our worst run blocking performance per PFF by far. And just kind of get some context. So our worst pass blocking grade up until Clemson was against Marshall with a 54. We had a grade of 39 against Clemson. And then our worst run blocking was against Notre Dame, which was a 49. We got a 36 run blocking grade.
Relatively speaking, what was our highest grades this season, Leighton, in those 2 categories?
I felt it was probably either VMI or Marshall.
Yeah, VMI, we got
Some
94.
cupcakes.
VMI, we got 94 pass block, and then run blocking, we got actually the highest was against UConn, 67. So yeah, so again, so best you went from a 94 against VMI to a 39 versus
not good day.
So,
yeah, but I mean,
no.
again, as bad as Clemson's offense is, that's still a really good defense. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt. We will not face a defense that tough again between Miami, Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. No, yeah. So again, all good. We came out of there, we got the win, but just pointing out that offensive line need a little bit more. But again, look forward to it, seeing what we could do.
So there we go. 8 starts now for MJ. So just to clear that up. Thanks, Andy.
So on to our next tweet of the week. Gotta give a shout out to this news about how Steve Smith Steve Smith and Coach Dorn had actually talked, and Dorn
invited him
to come watch a game from the NC State sidelines to be on the lookout. And I even saw that Corey Smith from Pack Bry was putting out there saying, begging for Steve Smith to be the alpha wolf starter for
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
That would be so
all
funny.
right, basketball fans, we gotta start. that would be funny.
Oh, man.
But I would. There's still people mad, but I'd think that was funny.
The precedent was set, right? You had a Carolina Hurricane guy do it on Saturday, so it doesn't. We've already said that it doesn't have to be an NC State person, right, or someone with NC State.
This
ties.
would be a pretty good game coming out to get him to do it right on national TV. Like, hey man, you want the real football experience? NC State, see how much of a non-football school it is. We'll show you. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, really, if Steve Smith's going to come, I mean, you got 2 really good games coming up, either Miami on Saturday night game or Carolina.
Which, by the way, did you guys see they announced the Wake Forest time?
Yeah, 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
CW, which means it's a win. Right?
Easy
It's a
dub.
win.
CW.
Yeah, we're undefeated on the C-Dub, right?
Play every game from now on the CW. Every sport.
It's actually not bad. The CW is not bad. It's been pretty good.
It should be the CW, your home of Wolfpack football. Like that should be the promo that they need to cut. Here, I just did it for you. Another soundbite.
Channel for the Wolfpack. CW.
Another soundbite.
It is funny though. A lot of the NC State fans are complaining that that people that have cut the cord that they're having trouble watching the CW games because it's not available on all streaming platforms. So kind of an interesting thing.
Too bad. It's better than AC Network was.
I kind of agree.
Valley, but yeah.
Valley,
yeah. It's the same. It's the Raycom crew. Instead of being Valley, it's just CW now. But it's a lot more accessible.
Games.
Yeah. But real quick, 30 seconds here. Can we get our Alpha Wolf stars to stop stopping the Wolfpack chain? Like, once you get started, let it go. Don't be like, that's what I'm talking about. And then because Bill Cower and Martinook did that. I'm like, and then luckily enough, Martinook got it restarted, but Cower never got it restarted. So he did it for a second, then it just stopped until the entrance music started playing. So
it was awkward silence for a good
It was.
If nothing else, just keep pointing.
Yeah,
just keep pointing. Just
keep pointing. And
if you don't want to, and then
if you lose your voice, that's okay. We totally get it. But just
I will say, right when he stopped, that video played, so it kind of made a nice transition for that video to get going. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
right,
for sure.
You want the power of the chant, right? So
I like it though. I like it as something
a new tradition, right? It's a new
right.
Tradition.
I love that full starter. Absolutely.
And it's kind of like a marriage between what the Canes do with the siren, and now you're doing that, and it's a beautiful relationship there. So
and then next year UNC is going to come out with the Beta Ram starter of the Echo
Ramsey starter of the game. And one fan's going to go heels.
Oh yeah, exactly. But
where's everybody?
Why are the seats not talking back to me?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
That's where Steve Smith needs to go.
They're going to pump the audio through the speakers, Greg.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. All righty, y'all. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we do have a GOAT amongst us on the state football team, and Peyton Wilson, man. And,
I didn't see Isaiah Moore's tweet.
Yeah, that was today.
Yeah. Isaiah Moore coming out butt kiss at Peyton Wilson, and then Mecca saying, "I don't want to see anyone the number 11 ever again."
Thayer Thomas had a tweet too for reference, but I can't remember exactly what he said.
He did, and I couldn't quite get. I didn't have enough time to get on here, but
good.
Everybody was raving on Peyton Wilson, rightfully so.
And that's what I love about our alumni. Like our football alumni are on Twitter just as much as the fans are during a game, so they're watching it and feeling it along with us the entire time.
Oh yeah, one of the best parts of NC football is NC State football Twitter. Seeing everything people tweet.
Emeka is on there all the time. He is ready. I love that.
Yeah.
Someone was talking. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, someone was talking about the Mount Rushmore of NC State linebackers. Is that where you were going?
Yep.
Go for it.
So I want to bring it up because I think it was before the season I had brought up with you, Macon and Greg, and might have been somebody else, but I just remember you guys had the stronger reaction to it when I was saying about how, in my opinion, Peyton Wilson's among the top 5 great linebackers in state history. And I think it's kind of a question of, when you say greatest, do you mean statistically greatest, or do you mean if you had to make a team, would he be one of the 5 linebackers that you would choose? And in my opinion, again, and we kind of get into it here. So I wanted to bring up, so this was a list that we created back in 2021. Michael created of our top 5 linebackers. And so kind of give you some names. So LeVar Fisher, D'Antonio Burnett, Bill Cowher, Robert Abram, Nate Irving, Tyler Lawrence. Like, my thing is just with Peyton Wilson, man, like,
He's a different
the size, the strength, the height, the athleticism,
I'm with
speed.
you, Ken.
Freaking speed.
Like
the hops. We saw hops on Saturday. He can jump.
And like, again, with today's day and age, with athletes, and the training they have, like, Robert Abraham, like, has no chance training wise compared to what Peyton Wilson gets. So I mean, like, I feel like saying that Peyton Wilson's, in the conversation above Vaughn Johnson or Robert Abraham, that's not a knack. It's just that just the sport has evolved a lot, and so I'm sitting here saying I can't name you 5 linebackers I'd rather have if I was building an all-time team over Peyton Wilson. I can't. Nate Irving is in that conversation for me. Bill Cowher, LeVar Fisher, Tony Burnett, that'd probably be my 5, honestly.
It's not even just linebacker though. That Peyton Wilson is just a different type of athlete.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain and really describe the type of athlete he is unless you watch him. Like,
where would he fit on this list to you then, Mackenzie? Number 1.
No, I think he'd be around 2 or 3.
Wow.
I'd say 3.
I'd put him at, I think I might put him at 4 or 5. I think he's, I mean, it's hard for me to go, you're right. I mean, like, he's really good, but if he's on this list at all, he's a great linebacker. To your point.
And again, and Greg, I want to hear your thoughts because I know you have thoughts. But again, because it kind of goes back to the question of, are we talking statistically, or are we talking if you had to make an all-time team? Because I probably get what you're saying, Greg, what you might be saying, Greg, where, and I think Macon, you even said how he's top 10 in most stats, but he's not top 5 in a lot of stats, which a lot of that has to do with the fact he had a lot of injury issues his first couple of years at
That's
State.
a huge thing. He hasn't played.
But he's also in his 5th year, so he really does have 4 years
season.
of statistics. Yeah, he does have 4 years of statistics. Right.
Agreed.
So I'd say go ahead. I'm cutting you off, Greg. Sorry.
No, go, Macon. Go.
I was going to say, I put it in the Discord earlier. Like, if he's on, Peyton Wilson is on pace to average. Right now he's averaging a little over 12 tackles per game, which is crazy.
It's really good.
It's really good. I'm crazy. It's really good. Because some of the stuff this guy on this list, Bill Cowher, did, that's crazy. But if he hits that pace, he's at 87 tackles right now, which is 6th in the country for total tackles, FBS. If he maintains the average, he will hit 149 tackles in the regular season. That would put him 4th all time in total tackles.
In a season or
career.
History?
Career.
Okay, got you.
So career all time, he put him 4th all time in total tackles. That's solo and assisted tackles. But he has 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So,
but one was basically wiped.
Yeah, I was about to
right.
say.
He had like 6 tackles or whatever it was. He got hurt that Mississippi State game. Yeah. But that's up there. And I think he's like, I can't remember the list. And I think it's one of those lists on, like, I don't hear solo tackles. He's like, if you broke it down further, he's like top 15 in the country right now on solo tackles. The dude's everywhere, right? I mean, it's just, I think that stat is probably the best stat I've seen for Peyton Wilson. If he can at least hit that average, he'll be 4th all time in total tackles on his career. That's great.
If y'all could compare him to a linebacker in the NFL that's there now, or has been in the NFL, who would y'all pick?
Oh,
I don't say this lightly because I love this man, but I think
You go
When
to
I-
Luke Kuechly?
Yeah.
I knew you were.
When
Yeah,
He's not as big as Luke. He's got
What?
more
he
build,
has
more
the
build on him.
football IQ and
I-
like awareness that Luke
I'd-
Kuechly.
I kind of compare him. I think I have the name right, but Isaiah Simmons, the former
Yeah,
Clemson linebacker at
yeah.
Arizona,
Cardinals.
tall,
I could see that.
strong, speed. I see
Yeah.
it.
The problem with Isaiah Simmons, I think he
He
doesn't
plays
really.
a little bit of edge too. I think.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Correct.
So
But I mean, hey, Peyton Wilson plays safety. Just saying.
Yeah.
So,
I
go
mean,
ahead, Greg.
I kind of wonder who he's like, and not looking to. Is he like Van Der Esch for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I just saw it. That's in the comments. That's a good one.
Yeah, hard hitter.
I didn't even see the comment, so
yeah.
there you go.
So
Go ahead, Greg.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for
There you go. Two great minds think alike, Nicholas.
Yeah.
So
for me, so this is really hard because there's so much that you can look at here, right? You can look at the body of work, which is just purely numbers, but then you look at the heart and soul of what he does for a team, which is not measurable. Like, there's not a stat for that, right? But you look at, things that come to mind is that play against Notre Dame where he runs like 40 yards and catches a guy, right?
23 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean things like that. There's no doubt he's going to get first team All ACC, so that's a given. If he pulls a
Yeah.
like, defensive player of the year,
I think he's
Which-
first team All American too. By the way.
I would agree with that statement. My
in the
concern is I'm
conversation,
not sure he gets defensive player of the year because it just depends on how State finishes the season, right? I think
Agreed.
if we get to 6 or 7 wins, if we get to 7 wins, he's definitely got a chance. If we don't get to 6 wins, it might be a little tough. And I know these
Yeah.
writers like to play off of like overall body of work from the team, and that's not really fair to the player himself. All right, so
Mhm.
long-winded. If he gets a national award, he's definitely Mount Rushmore. If he doesn't get a national award, I think I still probably squeak him in at 4. I don't know enough about Robert Abraham. Obviously, I never saw Coward play, but I remember Fisher, I remember Burnett, and I kind of remember Vaughn vaguely.
So
my
for
age.
reference, Robert Abraham, for reference, has 407 career tackles over 4 years. That would be the guy that Payne would leapfrog, would jump over if he were to maintain his average with the number he has right now. He would be at 100. He'd be at 414 or something like that. I can't remember the number I had earlier. And Abraham had 407. So he's just ahead of him. Abraham has the second highest single season tackles at 183 tackles in this season. That is crazy.
So just real quick, I want to throw this out there. Can you pull that list back real quick?
Yeah.
The one thing you're gonna see that's gonna be a lot different when you look at the top 4 linebackers, and you kind of mentioned it, Leighton. It's a different era of ball. Those linebackers were playing the run, rushing the passer. Linebackers now are asked to do a lot more, covering guys in space, and you can kind of see that with Peyton. So you have to kind of figure that into this whole equation. That these linebackers now are just doing more, a lot more responsibility. Plus in the Tony Gibson, the responsibilities are a lot different. I couldn't tell you what defenses we were running with these other guys, but from a athletic and I'm gonna put Peyton at 4. I'm gonna do it. And that's no disrespect. I think he's top 4.
Look at this. Bill Cowher was 75 to 78. Abraham 78 to 81. Vaughn was 80 to 83. There was some.
Oh, we had
that was
linebackers.
8 years of overlap at linebacker right there of like Mount Rushmore linebackers at NC State. You're saying like
look at 1-2. Fish and Burnett played together. Like those were some good units, man.
I know.
Mhm.
And last year's unit
Fisher
was great.
and Burnett on the same teams. That's crazy.
Yeah, and last year's unit was great with good grief, Drake and Isaiah and Peyton. Wrong Thomas.
Yeah.
And Greg,
Yeah,
you were
other
talking
times.
about how part of it is, what you can measure, what the stats say, but part of it is what they do for their team. Someone in the comments said, all these dudes played for a team. Peyton is the team. Danelle said, PW, the importance to his team. I think Peyton is a person that hypes up these fans, a person that fans look to, that they feel loyal to. Again, we saw those tweets. I don't want to see anyone else wear the number 11 at State again.
Yeah,
so
he's got to win. He's got to win a national.
Yeah,
award
I'm not
for that
there.
to
I'm
happen.
not there yet.
Yeah, he's got to win a national award. For
Focus,
that.
okay. He could go for the Buckets Award, but
Well, I mean, remember, State doesn't retire jerseys; they honor them.
Right.
So,
well, and
Right.
even then,
Someone
none
would-
of these guys that Bill Cowher are up in the ring of honor, so to speak. And
Yeah.
Cowher just got up there because he's a NFL Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he
And
has
I-
pretty great
I
records, but
About like Peyton Wilson is also like 100% the captain of that team.
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
they-
absolutely.
everybody looks to him for the encouragement. He's kept us in games, just watching him on the sidelines. Like not even in the game, you just watch him on the sideline, and when he was out after Clemson, he was out there hyping Caden Fordham up. Everybody, he was out there
Yeah.
doing his thing, doing his coaching. He's a different kind of athlete, and we're lucky as heck that he switched. To
I was just getting
Yeah.
ready to say the same thing, Ken. If nothing else, he should get on Mount Rushmore for switching from Carolina to State.
right.
I
Number
100%
one.
agree with you.
That's the deciding factor. No disrespect to Vaughn Johnson or
stats at all.
Abraham. They didn't flip. So
Right.
Well, and Infinite Hate brings up a great point. Talk about if we're talking about NFL success, what about Jermaine Pratt? And
Mhm.
you'd say,
he may be, but I don't. He's not got the stats here.
well,
to
and again,
back it up.
he
he
really
was buried in
really,
the depth chart.
yeah. Well, and he only really
That was a great
switched to being
defense.
that key
Yeah.
linebacker his last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Now
the
let
other
me
thing too.
let me say
So-
this. Okay,
He
let's
did find
say
out Lamar Jackson. I
let's
will
say
say
this. Okay, let's say if Peyton maintains his average,
I like
he
that.
does not win an award, a national award, but he gets like first team All ACC, first all team All American, and then he goes on to have a big career in the NFL. I think he gets his name on the thing, on the
Mhm.
board there.
Mhm.
But
Well, yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that's still borderline because there's already precedent for that happening, right? So
I'd go to jail for Peyton.
Again, he's going to be a first a day one or day two NFL draft pick.
Yeah, he won't be
He's
day
the top.
one.
And-
He won't be a
yeah,
first rounder.
but because of the injury stuff,
we'll see.
right?
Well, I think
Well,
the
we'll
injury
see. I
history,
mean-
like you said, Macon.
But again,
Second
if he
round,
stays-
I think it's happening personally.
But if he stays healthy, I mean, then he'll have had 2 full years
True.
without an injury.
Well,
So-
true. That's true too. He would literally
see.
say, "You want to pick if you need a linebacker. There's only one FBS linebacker. I mean, like they'll pick guys from Old Dominion too. There's only one Power 5 linebacker who has more tackles than Peyton Wilson this year. That's Iowa's Jay Higgins. So he'll be in that conversation. If you're wanting to see with the Butkus Award, or if for that Butkus is the best linebacker in the country, right?
Yeah, I think there's 2 linebacker awards, but the Buckets is the bigger one.
Okay, so then people should watch out for Iowa's Jay Higgins. He's the guy you should be monitoring if you're interested in state and Peyton Wilson winning that award. I'll have to look and see who that guy is.
In fairness, and Iowa's a borderline top 25 team. So they're gonna pull a little bit from that. Again, right, wrong, or indifferent, because all these voters don't watch all these games, right? So that's a lot of it's school name recognition. Like
They look at the rankings, everything.
they look at all those intangibles, right? So right, wrong, or indifferent. That just could be a thing out there.
Although I would say I don't know what the Iowa linebackers stats are, but I'm going to take a wild guess. Say Peyton Wilson has more points per game scored than the Iowa linebacker because he has 6 now. So
I don't think these are updated. Yeah, they are updated. Okay, I must actually got the average wrong for Peyton, but anyways, he's it's close. I mean, like so it's the guy at Iowa. So let me just correct the record. Peyton's actually averaging 11.1 tackles per game. And he has 89 tackles total. The other guy besides Jay Higgins from Iowa would be Jet Johnson from Mississippi State and Nicholas Martin from Oklahoma State. So those are the couple of schools you should be watching.
On a side note, did anyone see the over-under for the Northwestern Iowa game this week?
No.
It's 29.5 points. Yeah, 30. Yeah. The lowest ever in the history of gambling, I guess. So
Wow.
Seriously?
yeah, seriously. Yeah.
29.5 for a full football game. Yeah, that's pretty daggone low.
That's 15-15. That's like 2 touchdowns each.
Yeah, that's really bad.
But that kind of just goes to the how good Iowa's defense is, and that's the only reason I kind of threw that out there.
Yeah,
So,
that's a touchdown a quarter. Like that's ridiculous.
yeah, one, not per team, one.
Yeah, 1 total per quarter. Yeah. All right, y'all. So the last big tweet that we gotta talk on here as we wrap up the show here is the announcement of the new ACC schedule that will start in 2024 next year and will go through 2030. I mean, I can read it. I don't know what I mean.
You read it, you're good. I'm just saying, like, there's it's just so much there, and
it was better than what Greg sent me. Okay,
I gotta go to Cali again. Crap.
yeah. So
it's not LA at least. It's the other crap hole.
Dang it.
let's just kind of summarize just for 2024 for those listening. So for 2024, our home games are Duke, Stanford, Syracuse, Wake Forest.
Stanford.
Our away games are Cal, Clemson, Georgia Tech, and UNC. So
And
keep
go ahead, keep it on. I'm looking something else up.
and keeping in mind that we've also played Western Carolina at home. We played Tennessee and Charlotte.
Oof.
Played Northern Illinois at home, and Western Carolina.
Western Carolina, Tennessee, and Charlotte, Louisiana Tech, and Northern Illinois. So the only road game there is Tennessee and some Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, definitely. I mean, Greg. So tell me, do you already have your ticket book for to go to Berkeley?
Greg, if you're not
Berkeley?
there, man. If you're not there,
I know.
man,
I'm gonna be like,
are you really a fan?
If Greg doesn't go, nobody's going.
Are you really a fan, Greg? Are you really a fan if you don't go?
I'm not I'm not sure if the streak ends next year.
You don't have any business affiliates over there.
I don't, but I am building up some frequent flyer miles, so maybe I can cash those in.
Oh man,
I honestly.
Hey, this could be your makeup for the bowl game you missed because of your leg.
That's true.
Oh man,
I don't have a lot of desire to go to California. I'll be honest.
Well, especially to go to Cal, like Stanford, maybe.
But that's where Ben
not
Finley
Cal.
is.
That's true. We do get a reunion with Ben Finley.
You get to see
Oh,
Benjamin.
shoot.
And he knows you so well, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll be fun, I guess. Right.
I'm gonna add something here, guys.
He's trying to get everybody's approval.
I'm gonna add something in here. Just looking at that schedule.
I'll start the GoFundMe.
What you said, Layton, earlier. So it's Western Carolina, Tennessee, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois. Okay.
Yep.
I kind of early on. Okay, assuming that we totally overhaul our offense and we get something better, I'm thinking like get back to standard NC State offense. I'm thinking that's 3-1. Maybe Louisiana Tech gets us some trouble. I think 3-1. Duke does not have Riley Leonard anymore. And Stanford is not great. Syracuse is not great right now. Wake Forest is having a down year. I don't know what they'll be next year. Not great. Cal is not great. Clemson is okay. That'll be a tough one. They'll reload.
Clemson.
Yeah. Do they reload though?
They're not going to stay with Clemson.
Is Dabo going to be the coach next year? Is he going to leave?
He'll be the coach next year. But Clemson is going to reload. Georgia Tech, maybe. Is Haynes King? Georgia Tech is sneaky, man.
I told you, it's a weird team. Like they're a team this year that has lost games being up double digits and won games that they've been down double digits. Like make it make sense.
He's a transfer from Texas A&M. Haynes King is. I'm curious what year he's got eligibility left. He is a sophomore, so he'll be there.
Funny.
So I'm point is I'm kind of looking at like 8 wins here that State could get easy if they just have a confident offense, right?
Yeah.
Well, again, David's saying right here, 9-3 next year at worst. So
that you have a lot of faith, and then we're going to totally transform our offense. I hope so, but man, like he basically is saying we lose to Clemson, UNC, and Tennessee. So that's what he's saying.
I don't even know if Carolina's going to be that good. Drake May's not going to be there next year.
Well, so and there's already been reports that whoever is the backup is not going to be Drake May, Sam Howell, unless they go in the transfer portal.
They will.
And
there's a lot there to unpack. Couple of things for me.
Pretty easy schedule. So I'm getting at.
A couple of things. We lose Clemson from the year to year. Now we no longer have that as a protected opponent.
Yeah.
We keep Carolina. We keep Duke. And we keep Wake. And the Wake is back on now for every year.
Wake is back on. So what are your thoughts on that, Greg? I wanted to let you go first. What are your thoughts on not having Clemson anymore?
Yeah, we saw a lot of stuff in the Discord about it, didn't we? And
yeah, we did.
Screenshot it. All right, screenshot
it. I don't know. Like, I think it
wasn't Wake.
So here's my thing. Like Wake and Duke and UNC, those are usually beatable opponents year in and year out. Like we can definitely handle our business there, and our record is shown. We've done pretty well against Wake as long as it's not in Winston-Salem. Clemson, until the last couple of years, we've won 2 out of the last 3, but before that, like David only won like none. So I'm not mad at it. I get why people want to play it right with the Textile Bowl. and it's a great opponent. It brings, it's a good rivalry. It's a great home game, great home atmosphere. You look at next year's home schedule, and I know I'm kind of not talking about Clemson. It's not the most exciting schedule to get pumped up about.
Next year's schedule, you mean? Yeah, no.
Home schedule. Yeah.
I mean, Stanford will be sold out because it'll be the first time people see Stanford.
Yeah, will it though?
Yeah.
I mean, we sell out because it's NC State.
The battle of the block S's, Greg. Come on,
not anymore. Not anymore. That's Syracuse and Stanford.
Oh, I beg to differ, man.
Do we bring out the block S helmets just for that?
That would be sick.
That would be so sick.
Leighton, people, you need to make it happen, Leighton.
NC State football equipment.
Use the old school block S so it looks more like Stanford's S.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be
NC State football equipment. Country.
So petty.
Yes.
Bring it
that
back.
One, right? Yeah, that
one from like the late 70s or 80s when it was.
Yeah.
But my thing is, it's not that great of a schedule. Going back to that, home's going to be Western Carolina, Louisiana Tech, Northern Illinois, Duke, Stanford, Syracuse, Wake. That's why I said Stanford's going to be the one that sells out. So I mean,
we got a lot of smart schools next year: Duke and Stanford.
Wake Forest.
Yeah.
I tell you, it would be a fun road game to go to. I would love to go see us play at Georgia Tech because that would be right there in Atlanta. It'd be fun to go to.
As long as it's not like in September where it's going to be like 1,000 degrees.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. So anyway, y'all. Well, all right.
Syracuse being on the one.
Yes. No.
We played Mahomes. It won't matter.
I'm okay not going back to the Carrier Dome again. That's okay.
No, that was a dump.
Yeah, it's a dump. Anyway, y'all. Well, all right, y'all. Well, first of all, thank you all so much for tuning in here with us. We really do appreciate it. Again, hopefully everybody enjoyed this conversation. There was a ton we did not get to. We wanted to talk about Kevin Concepcion for sure and a bunch of other things, but just
he's a king.
There was a lot to unpack. Again, Kevin Concepcion, he's a king.
He's going to ball out next week on Saturday, so we'll have plenty to talk about.
And everybody's saying he won't be here next year. He said himself.
Geez.
He will be here next year.
I'm here to stay. Is what
real quick. I was joking with Alec Purcell, and every time he made a play, I was like, "Give him a truck," and then he'd make another play. I was like, "Give him 2 trucks." And then when he had that long run, I said, "Just give him the whole lot. Give him the whole lot of trucks. Give him all his NIL.
Pay that man the NIL money to make him worth his while to stay here."
Yeah. So
absolutely.
We appreciate you, Casey.
Yeah, man. But either way, y'all, we'll see y'all. Again, we have some awesome Miami preview episodes coming up here this week. So make sure if you do not want to miss out on those, do us a big favor, hit that free subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that way you're notified on all your devices. And whenever we go live with any new NC State Tuffy Talk content, we are coming out with a ton these days, y'all. So make sure to do that, which is free to do so you do not miss out on any of it. And if you enjoyed this conversation, do us a big favor. It really helps support us as well. And hit that like button. And also, too, make sure to give us a follow if you haven't already. Tuffy Talk now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But thank you everybody so much for tuning in with us. Hopefully we can get another big win, go 6-3. Let's pump it up on Saturday night and let's be Miami, baby. Use that
now too, right?
I was about to say
See you guys. Go back, y'all.
Go back.